Hello, all. It's kind of early in the morning. That's why I look half dead. Well, more half dead than I usually look. Oh. And I wanted to make this video quite a while ago, but I wanted to make sure I digested everything that was going on, to make sure this wasn't more of an emotional take and it was more of an informed, factual take. As factual as I could make something like this. And it's in regards to the end of the world. That even some of my most trusted people that I absolutely respect and look up to, I even caught a couple of them kind of saying it, like things are getting spicy, brr, brr, brr. And I just, and you're not going to agree with. You could agree with somebody 99% of the time. You're not going to agree with them 100% of the time, so that's fine. I'm not saying all of a sudden I'm cutting ties with them and blah, blah, blah. Not a shot. But what I will say is I would, as the Bible says, again, I'm not saying anything new. I wish I didn't have to have this YouTube channel. I wish I didn't have to say these things, and I wouldn't have if people actually read the Bible. So I'm not bringing you any big revelation here, but sorry, I'm still a little sick, so my nose is running. I'd be careful with preaching about the end of the world type stuff, as we are commanded to. Yeah, we may be seeing some signs with wars and rumors of wars and the whole list that people trot out when they bloviate about this topic. But let me remind you biblically. Let me paint the scene for you. When the two angels and the Lord were going and stopped at Abraham's and had lunch and then went on to destroy a certain city. And Sodom and Gomorrah and basically all those places that in the Old Testament God destroyed. He was like, you're done, you're up out of here. When you look at those stories, the entire place there was not a single innocent soul left besides Lot. And Lot was like, hey, hit the bricks. Here's your shot. And Lot was smart enough that's another thing you should be very, very, this is a very good lesson. When you get a feeling and you know it's the Lord, and he says, you better move or do this, you'd better do it. Because Lot could have been like, no, I'm good. And he would have been out of there too. But back to the point. There wasn't a single person left that was good. And the Bible says that. They were all just... Remember, it's kind of similar when the Lord told the Israelites to go into the promised land and wipe out all the ites, the Hivites, the Hizites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, all of them. Everybody, women and children included. Oh my God, I know the churchianity Christians are plugging their ears and crying when I just said that. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be like this. This is just me. I'm sorry. But it's the truth. Women, children, everybody. Goats, cats, your goldfish, go on. Because there was not one good left. And remember, they had 400 years to kind of wise up. Anyway, back to the cities. My point is there's still a lot of, and I use this term loosely, good, because not one of us is good. But I think everybody knows what I'm saying. There's still some Christians that are righteous. A lot of us, actually. Again, biblical definition of righteousness, Luke 1:6, blamelessly walking in the commands of Yah. Blameless does not mean perfect in this biblical sense. Basically means, and no, I'm not going to try out Greek or Hebrew. This was the word. Sometimes it just comes off so pretentious. That's why I don't bother with that. I mean, I could do all that, but it's just, yeah. It just means you're trying. And I heard someone, I wish I could cite them, but I kind of liked it. It's not necessarily you're sorry, you are, you pray to the Lord, sorry I did this, but because I don't know if it counts as much if you just know while you're saying that you're going to do it again, because we probably are. I think it's, I'm sorry, Lord, help me not do it again. And I know that sounds basic, but some people need to hear it. at differentiation, that it's like a two-step process, not just I'm sorry. So yeah, there's a lot of good, righteous Christians that are trying. I see them all over the place, and it's just here where I am. I've seen them in all of the places I've lived. So no, I don't think biblically, you could argue that the return of Yeshua, Jesus, transformed the conditions that would bring about this end of the world revelation, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't know how to combat that. I would say that's a good point. I try to be fully transparent with these. I fail all the time, but that did change things, because I believe back then too he could destroy a city, and the one person he saved, or maybe it was whatever, or when the exiles, when the Israelites were brought into exile, there was always a small group that started over again. But in this the world today is so interconnected. He'd have to, again, I guess he'd have to destroy the whole world, and like the Bible says, start off with heaven coming down, and that would be the new. Anyway, ADHD, I had it under control for so long. Tangents. Where was I? End of the world. Possible Yeshua could have changed the trajectory of the conditions that God used to make his decision. And maybe I need to think that out more. But so far, from what we have to go on, biblically, I do not believe the end of the world is anywhere close. We've got a long way to go. That's just me. Peace.